take a few minutes. The first point I want to talk about, the most fundamental aspect that this needs to be contextualized with, is that the Democrats have basically corrupted every institution in America. Not the least of which is this institution. Not the least of which is the committees and the roles of committees. So my colleague from Pennsylvania said this is a show trial. He's exactly right. This is designed for television. It's not designed to find truth. It's not designed to say, let's come up with a legitimate legislative purpose, which is what the Supreme Court says you have to have if you're going to have a subpoena in the first place. You have to have a legitimate purpose. They don't have any. So these are the same folks that sit on this committee, that are running this committee. Don't forget, they ran the 2 sham impeachments. The last sham impeachment was such a debacle, such an embarrassment to our institutions and the Constitution that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court said, I'm not going to show up. So who do we have? And what do we see? Well, they're not going to talk about tonight that 4 witnesses have testified under oath that on 4 days before January 6th, 4 days before January 6th, President Trump authorized up to 20,000 National Guard troops. Why won't they present that? Because it is indicia of what we would call in law the mens rea, or culpability, your state of mind. And the state of mind said, we have to protect the Capitol. What that means is there's no intention to incite, there's no intention to cause harm, but you're not going to hear about that, even though that's been testified to 4 different times. The FBI has indicated pretty clearly that there was no collusion by President Trump to incite a riot on January 6th. In fact, no collusion by President Trump or by any member of Congress. In fact, FBI Director Christopher Wray testified in Judiciary Committee that he could not call what happened there an insurrection. But that's not what you're going to hear from the Democrats, because they love that term, because they are all about hyperbole. How about our former colleague, Denver Riggleman, a former Republican working for this committee? What did he say? Just the other day, he said, there is no smoking gun indicating that President Trump planned for the U.S. Capitol to be overrun by his supporters. But you're not going to hear that, because this is, as they've accidentally said a couple of times, not about finding the truth, but about narrative building and distracting the American public from the disaster that the Biden administration, Speaker Pelosi and her Democrats in the House, Chuck Schumer and his Democrats in the Senate have perpetrated, have foisted upon the American people. So you know what the Democrats want? They don't want us talking about, it cost me $85, $90 to fill up my car with gas. They don't want you talking about that. They don't want you talking about, hey, the size of that pack of tortillas that I just bought last week before it came out. They used to look like the regular corn tortillas. They look like mini tortillas. Same price, the same packaging. They don't want you talking about that. They don't want you talking about, hey kids, we're not going to be able to go on vacation this year. They don't want you talking about any of that, because that's what Americans are talking about. They don't want you talking about the border. They don't want you talking about that. When I was down at the border twice last week, 2 different borders, 3 different sectors. I walk up, everywhere I walk up, there's people coming up. You know what these folks tell me? They say, we love Joe Biden. In fact, in Mexico, he's got a 52% approval rating, while he's only 32% in the United States. Amen. They want us to not talk about that stuff. They want to distract the American people. But the bad news for them is this. The reason you have to bring in an ABC producer is because your show stinks. And that committee reeks. And no amount of production is going to give Liz Cheney charisma. Sorry to say. No amount of it's going to change and take that apart. So I know that there are others who want to talk about this, but I just have to ask 4 or 5 things if I can, Mr. Perry.
Absolutely.
Why is Nancy Pelosi off limits? Why isn't she testifying before that committee? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We can't ask her what happened. We can't ask her what she knew, what she didn't know. We can't ask her why she didn't approve and encourage Mayor Bowser to accept the authorized and offered 20,000 National Guard troops. Why has the committee not released 14,000 hours of video of January 6th? Why is that missing? Well, why has the committee selectively and without appropriate context leaked documents or testimony? Why did Adam Schiff come out here and put up a poster and later have to admit that, yeah, he had doctored the poster? Because they're lying. They altered evidence, as Mr. Perry said. I'll just close with this by saying, committee member Jamie Raskin, he loves to say that anybody who questions an electoral outcome of 2020 is telling the big lie. Of course, he questioned the 2016 election outcome. Was that the big lie? Hillary Clinton questioned that. Joe Biden has already said the 2022 midterm is going to be illegitimate. Why? Because he's going to get his butt kicked. That's why. I'll tell you something. Jamie Raskin selectively edited video he used in the second Trump impeachment just a few days before the president was going to be vacating the Oval Office. If anyone is persisting in telling a big lie, it's members of the J6 committee. That's why they have to bring in a producer. That's why they're not going to let you hear. That's why they deleted the tweet from their star witness from tonight. And what did he say back then? He said the Proud Boys were organizing together. How many police were there at 11:22 on the steps of the Capitol? I count 1. This is a deliberate act. And he wasn't talking about the people who came in. He said someone in authority left the door open and the mob walked in. That's their witness tonight. They deleted that text. This is an illegitimate committee. You're going to see illegitimacy on display, meant to deceive the American people. That's what happens in former Soviet Union. That's what happens in Venezuela. That's what happens whenever tyrants and authoritarians get a little bit of power or think they have any. I yield back.